Hello, everyone. This is my PowerPoint presentation of what is the encoding specificity principle. The encoding specificity principle involves encoding or processing and making meaning out of information within our mind. And the principle states that the memory is easier to recall when the conditions surrounding the retrieval match the conditions of encoding. So factors that contribute to memory include context, environmental, and state, which is our physiologic or emotional sort of time and place, which are dependent variables contributing to these factors. I will discuss more by applying how to succeed in studying through the principle of test taking. There are four encoding specificity principle types. One is acoustic, which is sort of through sound or verbal repetition. The second is visual, through some sort of picture or iconic memory. Third is tactile, processing information by way of feelings or emotions. And then four is semantic, which is applying meaning or application to context or relating it, being able to describe it and take it sort of a step further. So I am going to use my example of sort of studying and preparing for a test or an exam through these examples. So an acoustic example would be talking through the information you've learned with another. So having a study partner, using sort of interactions, asking questions, and talking out loud. Another example could be listening to a recording of your own voice. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I've done that, sort of to absorb and apply what you're learning and practicing by hearing your own sound. And then a visual example would be flashcards for repetition. Most commonly, I think most of us have done this at some point in time through our studying, but another example could be using a sort of study calendar or a schedule or an outline that may mimic sort of the practice of what sort of test or exam or, class you're going to be taking. So those are examples for visual. Tactile examples include performing practice exams, for instance, in the same exact environment. This is one I've actually used quite a bit. I always try to study in the same space. I try to mimic as much as the same environment to sort of set off the nerves, at least for myself. And so things that can work for this are sitting in the exact same spot you would for the test, or taking a practice exam in the exact same environment. Those can be really, really helpful. Another example I stumbled upon through researching a little bit was wearing sort of those same comfortable clothes to sort of mimic that sort of tactile comfort underneath different contexts. So maybe you're studying in the same, outfit you will be taking the test in, things like that. The last example would be semantic. And so this is sort of applying that concept to more long-term memory, which I put studying forwards and backwards the information. So a good example of this would be a multiple choice question, for instance, and then it gives like an A, B, C, and D answer. One way, of course, is to know the answer, but also to study in reverse and sort of the wrong answers, how you would then sort of ask the question to get to those answers. That's an example of studying backwards and forwards. And really this helps apply the concept from multiple different directions and really helps that knowledge absorb. I have had to use this for more tests than I can count as a good way to sort of like cover all your bases when you may not also know, what questions you're going to be asked. So it's a great tool and can work really, really well. So I hope you've enjoyed my mini presentation, and I hope you can use the new sort of understanding or examples for encoding under the specificity principle, either for your next big studying adventure, your next class, or your next test. These are my tips and tricks, and here's just a little visual that gives examples of sort of setting up a good test environment.